What's going on, guys? Welcome to the first of many Elden Ring build videos here on the channel, and in this video I'm going to be showcasing you my level 150 pure intelligence build here in Elden Ring. This intelligence build is an upgraded version from the starter guide, which I know you guys have been showing a lot of love. So if you guys are watching that starter guide video and want to wonder how that turns into, this is the video for you guys. This build pretty much covers all bases with ranged melee status effects such as the frostbite status, and it just absolutely melts bosses. So for these build guys, I'm just going to go over the stats, the weapon I use, the spells of course for this build because we are an intelligence build, and of course what we have in our wondrous physic and the great rune that we have equipped onto our character. Alright, so with all that out of the way, let's get right into the build. Alright, so first things first, I'm going to go over the staff that I'm using, and that staff is the Carrion Regal Scepter that you get from defeating Rennala, and this is the highest magic scaling staff in the game, especially at 80 int at plus 10, and then I like to have a dagger with the Golden Vow buff on it for the Ash of War to increase our damage, and then I'm using the Royal Knight Helm from the Royal Knight Loretta. And I'm using also the Blide's armor, and I'm using the Carrion Knight gloves and the Carrion Knight greaves. This allows me to have over 51 poise so we can tank through some attacks. So that way we're not always getting one-shotted. And as for the talismans, I'm using the Graven Mask Talisman along with the Radican Icon, and then also the Graven Skull Talisman, because that will greatly increase the damage of our sorceries, and then the Green Turtle Talisman because it also costs us stamina to cast our spells. And then for the Wondrous Physic, I'm using the Magic Shroud and Crack tier and the Cerulean Hidden tier. This is a must on pretty much every single spell build. And then for the spell loadout, I'm using Terra Magica. This puts a sigil on the ground to increase our damage even further with sorceries. Using Rani Dark Moon to apply Frostbite, and also it applies a debuff on the enemy. I'm using Meteorite of Estelle. This is our boss melter when we use our Wondrous Physic, especially for big bosses. So that is just kind of just in case. Gavel of Haima will stun elite enemies. I have Abdullah's Moonblade to take care of pretty much at range with a little bit of Frostbite. I have the Night Shard to take out trash enemies. Stars of Ruin, again for some ranged, and then Loretta's Great Bow to, of course, snipe some enemies from afar. That way we don't even have to worry about them. And as for the stat distribution for this build, of course, like I said in the beginning of the video, I did start off as an Astrologer, so I have 50 Vigor, 40 Mind, 23 Endurance, 8 in Strength, 12 Dexterity, 80 Intelligence, and then the rest is Faith and Arcane. So pretty much I did not touch Strength, Faith, and Arcane, and also Dexterity, I believe. I just put 50 in Vigor, the 40 in Mind, 80 Intelligence, and then the rest I just put in Endurance, so that way we could have a medium roll, especially with the armor that we have on. And as for the Great Rune, guys, I'm pretty much going to be using this Great Rune for all my builds, and that is the Radahn's Great Rune. And the reason for this is because this is by far the best one, especially at level 150, because when you pretty much are at a high level, especially getting ready for the DLC, Radahn's Great Rune just gives you a overall percentage buff to your health, stamina, and also your FP. So it's pretty much great for all builds. You can use Godric's Rune if you're it's pretty much starting off. I would say use Godric's Rune and pretty much until maybe level 100 or so, and then at past 100 I would say go get Radahn's Rune and then equip that as well. So I would say Radahn's Rune on pretty much every of the endgame builds, because it gives you a percentage buff, and once you have the higher your health, the higher your stamina, and the higher your FP, the more percentage buff that you will get from Radahn's Rune. And lastly, as for the Spirit Ashes, guys, I like using the Ancient Dragonite Kristoff because this dude is an absolute tank, especially when you upgrade him all the way to plus 10. He will pretty much draw the attention from the bosses, and he has a high health pool, and he will pretty much attack with lightning, and he's got a shield to protect himself, so that way he'll last in the fight a lot longer. So that's the one that I like to use. Now, I know people like using the Mimic Tear Ashes or sometimes Black Knife. And Black Knife's not a bad one either because it puts a debuff when he uses his special attack. But for the mage kind of gameplay, I would say using the tank of Ancient Dragon Knife Kristoff is a good one. Now, of course, the one in the starter guide, you can always use that Banished Knight Engvall, but I think towards endgame, the one that I'm using, the Ancient Dragonite, is a really good choice. Okay, so with all the standard build stuff out of the way, I'm going to be showing you guys a boss fight to pretty much showcase how this build works. And I'm going up against the Godskin duo over in the Crumbling for Missoula. I was trying to hurry up and get to the door, but these knights were getting after me. But enjoy the boss fight. And that's going to wrap things up for this build video, guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video, and make sure to drop a like and consider subscribing to the channel. Thank you so much for waiting, and trust me, there's going to be more builds. If you guys have any comments about this build or anything tweaks for future builds, let me know down in the comments below. I'll catch y'all in the next video. Deuces.